Something to consider. When Mega Man fires the wire adapter, where does all that extra wire come from? I mean, that's several times the length of his body. Where does he fit it all? Maybe it's best not to think about such things. By the way, this is the midway point, and the general rule in Mega Man games is that in each stage there are 3 places you can restart a level after you die. The very beginning, of course, and the midway point, which is usually about the middle of the stage, hence the name Midway Point, kinda makes sense, and the room right before the boss. However, in the later stages of Mega Man 4, you will only find 2 places where you can restart if you die, the very beginning and the midway point, so it's that much more challenging to fight through the entire second half of the stage if you die on the boss. Now, with this stage in particular, the second half really isn't all that challenging. I mean, the toughest part is over, unless you're going for the bonus stuff. Watch this. Precision. Yes, I'm rather fond of how this particular screen turned out. There's a lot of nice hoo-ha-hee jumping. That's all very precise, not missing a beat at all, and whoo! Tricky jumps. I make it look effortless. Lots of practice and lots of luck. Again, you too can do the stupid things that I do, like falling off a ladder. Let's see if I can make up for that with something cool. Wire adapter. Ooh, oh, that spike tickled. It's like a back scratcher. While the big bosses in the final stages of Mega Man 4 might not be as unique or as clever as some of the bosses in the first 3 Mega Man games, they're still very creative in certain respects. And this is a perfect example of that. You have an entire room that's out to get you. And of course you need to wait until it locks into position and reveals the glowing red circle in the middle. I think we're starting to sense a pattern of where we can hit some of these bosses. And this is a particularly difficult boss, because not only do you need to have the patience to wait, and if you just slide underneath, you really don't need to worry too much about getting hit by the room itself, but once you get in there, needing to stand on the platforms, not get whoa, that was a weird glitch, not fall off when you get hit, and still aim properly, it's difficult, and that brings me to my next point. While I try and pack in as much show-offery as possible in each and every video, sometimes it can't be helped that I get hit, and sometimes I just don't do it as well as... Okay, it's obvious I'm getting the snot kicked out of me here. Let's continue. I record several takes of each stage, sometimes spending hours trying to get everything absolutely perfect. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Eventually, there comes a point where I say, I can't spend any more time trying to get this exactly the way I want it, but I am satisfied enough with what I have, and it's consistently interesting, so I'll keep it. Yippee! That's really the key, though. I've had stages where I've beaten the boss beautifully without getting hit and barely missing a shot, but it took way too long, and the rest of the stage was kinda ho-hum or downright atrocious. To me, keeping a good pace and frequently doing things that are interesting and impressive are more important than just getting through the game without ever getting hit. Of course, dying is still downright unacceptable. We're back outside. This stage has a little more atmosphere than the last one, and it seems the snow is cleared up and the sun's come back out. Huh. Whoa, wait a second. The screen is moving on its own. I am not controlling this. I don't want this. No. No, I'm not going along. Don't push me. Don't do it. Okay, fine. I'll go along with your little plan. This is actually a very rare stage. Mega Man games don't have stages that automatically scroll. This is unprecedented. Hey, that's better. I'm starting to feel a little bit better about myself after last stage. It's good to know that I can still aim and dodge effectively. It's a pretty big blow to one's ego to be almost beaten to death by a wall. I'm still picking up weapon energy capsules because your weapons don't automatically refill after you beat a stage in the final sections of the game. I like to keep things as full as possible. I'm sorry, was I dancing there again? I can't restrain myself, it just sort of happens sometimes. Another one of those big hopping enemies. That's the only reason I could have been switching to Drill Bomb. Well, maybe not the only reason, but it's usually a good indicator if I switch to Drill Bomb, that's what I'm gonna do. These buzzsaw enemies here can only be harmed by a few weapons, and it's really a bad idea to try and jump across there and just get hit. Because if you get hit and fall off, you'll probably run into the hopping enemy below and need to climb back up and try it all over again, so just hit him with a special weapon. Oh, platforms. Oh, this is different. These platforms rise up when you jump and sink when you stand on them. Not that I'm a glutton for punishment or anything, but I really think they could have stepped up the difficulty on this section. Look at this. 3 platforms in a row with no enemies. There's nothing to do here. And there should be stuff flying at you from all over the place by the end. These rising platforms are neat, but they're underutilized. There could have been more done with them. And these wobbly head Saturn enemies are the wimpiest enemies in the game, especially at this point when you've got a full arsenal with all sorts of different weapons that'll take them out no problem. They could have done more with it. It's not a bad section, but looking for more of a challenge. This part is good though, because if you're too high up when you start pressing down on that block, the screen will scroll over and you'll get smashed against the wall. Hooray for smashing robots against walls! I also like how it's a little bit of a puzzle to get into that E-tank, because it doesn't make sense at first how you'd be able to fit in there. Yeah, I'm using Flash Stopper again. By a show of hands, who is annoyed by the fact that I keep using Flash Stopper at inappropriate moments? Anyone? I don't see any hands. I'll keep using it then. This boss is different. Or really, I should say, these bosses. The funny part is that although there are 3 platforms here, and it looks like you should be jumping from platform to platform, risking your life over the spikes every time to dodge the projectiles here, you don't actually need to move. Really, you can just stay in one place. Oh, of course, jump over the shots to not get hit and fall in the spikes, although you can recover if you're really quick with Rush Coil or Balloon Adapter to get out of there. But you can stay in one place, which is pretty cool. And Pharaoh Shot makes this possible because it fires in multiple directions, and you can also use that huge fireball to collide with the robot spiders as they climb overhead. So Pharaoh Shot is definitely the weapon to use there, and it really makes sense to be used there, although I would have liked to have seen Dive Missile as a good alternative for that. Sadly, Dust Crusher, Pharaoh Shot, Drill Bomb, and Ring Boomerang are the only weapons that are effective, that are really effective, against the bosses toward the end of the game. Ooh, the map says there's a split path here, so we'll need to check that out. Judging from the background, either we're so high up in the castle that we're in outer space, or else it's now nighttime, having just been daytime, having switched from nighttime, which was daytime before that. Sure, why not? Oh, and that jump up there is difficult, but doable. I haven't used Rain Flush in a while, so here goes. Now, how do I get to that E-tank? Yes. That is the kind of wall I was beginning to talk about earlier, where Drill Bomb can actually blow it up. All other weapons just bounce right off of it. Okay, so Rain Flush doesn't actually bounce off of it. It would be really funny to see that whole wall of acid rain come down and just bink and then fly off in the other direction off the screen, but that doesn't actually happen. This is the split in the road, the fork in the path, where you can go up for an extra life, or go right down the hole, or I guess it would be down, technically, to claim an E-tank. Either way, I think down is easier. It's a little tougher to get into, but you don't need to worry about those dudes popping up out of the hole. And that is forever their name, the dudes popping up out of the hole. Realistically, given the option between a 1-up and an E-tank, I'll take the E-tank every time. Mega Man games give you infinite continues, so really it's like you have infinite extra lives to begin with. What you can't do is refill your energy on command, and that's why the E-tanks to me are more valuable, because if you get into a boss fight, it doesn't matter if you have 50 bajillion extra lives. If you can't beat that boss, and you need just a little more energy to do it, the E-tank is what's going to get you through. Oh, it occurred to me that I actually haven't talked about the new menu screen yet, so, I mean, you've seen it plenty of times before, but let me have a moment here. Behold the new menu screen! It's better than the one in Mega Man 3! Ha! I have successfully distracted you. Now I am back at the split in the road. And that's a pretty narrow space to fit through, so if you can't get it on the first couple tries, don't fret. Just keep trying. It is worth it, because you get an E-tank. Granted, you don't get the big weapon energy capsule that you get if you go the top route, but this is much shorter, and you only need to contend with the Slinkies of Doom here, which are easily dispatched if you have the right weapon. This is much easier because, voila! We are back here where we just left off. So much nicer. Here's something interesting. When you fire a fully charged Mega Buster shot, sometimes Mega Man turns black for a split second, and if you time it just right as you're moving from one screen to the next, you can actually see it for an extended period of time. So cool, so stupid. It's a stupid kind of cool, but that still makes it cool. Check out the precision here. Oh yeah, perfectly lined up so that I didn't hit my head on the ceiling. You see, someone suggested that I start pointing out more of the cool things that I do in case you missed them, so really, I'm not saying these things because I'm trying to brag or inflate my ego. It's for your benefit so that you don't miss out on any of the really neat little stuff that I can do because I'm awesome!